Hello YouTube, it's SWLA Mech 84. I've got my muzzle tube mounted up here. I've cut the male threads over here on the other side. See if you can see that. I have those inside the chuck there. I've trued up the outside and I've turned my bore to the dimension I need to a depth of 775. And I'm going to turn a little bit bigger bore in here for my thread diameter of 2.205 back 5/8 of an inch. And I'm having a little issue, of course, I'm in a pretty big issue. This piece that I machined on last time, I think I have a little bit of video of it. I'll have to put it up, but I was trying to take everything off a little too quickly, I believe, and I turned this thing down too far. So this piece of material is poo-poo now because I can't use this. So I've got some more tube on the way, but I was also thinking about something else. This tube is the muzzle end tube, and it's on the outboard end of the suppressor. You know, this would be where the bullet would actually come out. By then, the pressures are so low, and I'm going to be using 308 subsonic, that I might just make that one out of some aluminum that I have. That'll cut my weight down considerably. So I'm rolling that idea around, and this will be so much nicer to machine too. It's just some 60-61 2.5 inch diameter pipe, exact same dimensions I just happen to have laying around on the shelf. So I'm kind of kicking that around, but I do have some more steel on the way. So I think I have a little bit of video. If I didn't just delete it, I'm pretty sure I just deleted it, but I'll check and see. And now that I've got more accurate measuring tools out to the 1/10,000ths, 1/10,000ths place, I realized that some of my work that I've been doing was not so great, because all I've had so far, or up until now, was the good old guesstimators, and they're just out to 1,000th. And this is pretty close every time. I've kind of learned how to use this so that I get almost the same measurement as the caliper, except I got another 10 degrees of accuracy on the calipers. And whenever I'm trying to do these almost interference, just barely slip fits, this just isn't good enough for what I want anyway. And I've noticed that my boring bar here, let's see, I'll back out. I've been just taking tiny little bites. Even though it's a carbide insert, that boring bar lets me I can take off a 1/2,000th and it still has a pretty good finish. I'm really pleased with that boring bar. But I'm pretty sure that I'm either a little bit above or a little bit below center, because I've got a dial set up here, a 1/2,000ths dial indicator, and I've been kind of playing with it, you know, going in just a 1/2,000th, so I should reduce the OD 1/1000ths, and it's doing more. So either my tip is above or below a little bit, and I'm going to play with that a little when I put this other bore in here. This bore right here is 2.140, and I think it's actually really close to being dead on. Let's see what it says here. Okay, well, I'm getting you're not going to be able to see that, but I'm getting 2.14 or 2.138, just about exactly 2.1381. So my part has cooled, because I was reading almost dead on 140, and see, it correlates pretty close. If you just ever so slightly clamp it on there, any little bit of pressure and it'll be off. But that's 2.1385, and it's actually over 2.138 on my mic. or 2.138. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's actually over. I'm actually 2.1387. So the digital calipers are actually pretty close there. I feel better about it since I'm measuring everything twice. But so I'm gonna snap this one more time, just to be sure. Since I don't have any inside micrometers. And we'll look at it one more time. And of course these are Shars. They came from Shars. So, and this one happens to have a rough spot right at where I'm trying to measure. I haven't taken them apart to see if they had any oil on them or not. So I'll probably be doing that here pretty soon. But just because it's just a little sticky whenever I'm trying to turn it with my finger here, it doesn't want to turn anymore. I have to grab it with both of them. So it makes it a little aggravating. And I don't like to use the ratchet on the snap gauges because I can actually push on the snap gauges too much. So let's see if I can get this thing to turn. Oh, that's frustrating. Okay, with that snap, I'm getting right on 2.140. That's 2.025 plus 15 thousandths, so 2.140. And there's my 2.140. I've been snapping things probably 4 and 5 times before I actually take the measurement for granted. And I've already done this, that's why I'm fairly certain that it is 2.140. Okay. So my next diameter is 2.205. So I need to take 65 thousandths off. And I'm going to remove this dial indicator since it's a half thousandth. Now I'm going to put on a thousandth indicator. I dropped my good Stereo dial yesterday in the shop, or the other day in the shop. Not too pleased about that. That was the first one, my dad gave me that. That was the most expensive dial indicator I had in the shop. And it's a pretty nice one too. But it fell off the mill while I was working on this. And it bent the stem. But, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it has a nice little adjustment. There's the gear wheel that rides on this. The stem got bent just a little bit. And that gear wheel that rides on there, you can adjust the tension on it just a little bit. And it'll still work just fine. But I'm gonna have to tighten it up and check it. There's 2 screws, top and bottom there, that allow you to adjust the tension on that wheel there. You can see how it moves back and forth. And just where it was bent just enough that it would actually not let it go. And I think it'll work just fine because it still returns and everything like it's supposed to. So I'll have to play with it a little bit. I don't think I'll have a good chance at all of taking this shaft out and trying to straighten it. So I'll probably just adjust the tension on that gear wheel there until I can use it again, because I really like it. That's my good black face Stereo, and it was a nice dial. All right, so I'm gonna I've got this dial zeroed out, and I trust the dials on the lathe, but I want to try to get a little more accuracy out of it. And I'm going to be using this a lot more, I believe, this setup here, because I want to make sure I've got all the time in the world to build this thing. I don't have anyone breathing down my neck for it other than myself. So I'm going to build it the way I want to build it. And I want to build it as close as I can, just for the personal practice. So I'm also using my carriage locks too. My compound rest here has a carriage lock, just a little set screw in here for a wrench. And I'm not sure what kind of give or jib it has, but if I just crank that in a tiny bit with this wrench, you can't move it. And the same goes for my cross slide over here. I'll loosen it, make my adjustment, look at my dials in here just to make sure that they're still, you know, they coincide with each other. And then I can lock it down and I get a much better surface finish. And you can see the difference if I don't lock it. Whenever I'm running, this dial right here is going insane. It won't stay still. When I lock that carriage lock, this thing is basically dead nut still. It doesn't move anymore. So that eliminated a lot of vibration out of this setup here. It is a good lathe. I really like my lathe, but there are a couple of places where it could have been made a little better, but that helps a lot. If I lock that down, I get a much nicer finish, and I think I'm fairly certain I get a truer diameter bore too. So I'm still zeroed out on this bore here. So I'm gonna back out and I'm gonna bring this bore out to 2.205, and I'll probably do it in a good couple of passes. So I'm gonna zoom in and I'll speed that up so it's not so boring. Okay, that should have been a 10,000ths pass. So I was at 2.140. Should be at 2.150. And my micrometer says 2.151. The digital calipers agree. So it's taken 1,000th more than what I'm dialing in. So if I wanted to take 10,000ths, then I should take 9,000ths. So I'll keep that in mind whenever I get really close there. I'll snap it one more time. And I get 2.149 that time. Alright, I'm getting to where I only need to take 15,000ths off now. So I'm going to take a 10,000ths pass. And that boring bar at the feed that I have it at, it really likes 10,000ths depth of cut. So that was supposed to be a 10,000ths pass. I was at 2.190. Okay, and now I'm reading at 2.199 or 2.199. Okay, try that again. Okay, now I'm getting 2.1998. 2.1998. I need 2.205. So I need to take 5.2 thousandths off. I'm going to shoot for a 3 thousandths pass and see if I can sneak up on it. And I still have my thousandths indicator set up here. And I think I'm going to leave it just because I can do a half thousandths if I just put it between the marks there. And this isn't a dimension that is super critical. As long as I'm within a thousandth or so, I mean, I can adjust my thread depth just by cutting a little deeper. But I'm just practicing for some. I want to be more precise, so I'm just practicing for my own satisfaction. Okay, that was a 3 thousandths pass. 1.5 thou per side, and it took 2 thousandths on that snap anyway. Okay, well, that took exactly half of what I needed to take. So I'll just duplicate that. And another pass. And another little note. You can see here my ventilation system. You know, that's a bathroom fan from Lowe's, and I made a cardboard funnel so that I can connect dryer vent, and then I cut a hole through the wall and I'm venting through out to the other side of the shop. And I have a mag base stuck to the back here on the, you can't really see it, but there's a mag base right there just with a twist tie holding my tube so that I can position it. And the other day I was taking down the Christmas lights, and we had the remote control light set up. So, and it's just a little surge protector from Lowe's. You can see right there. So I had the bright idea on my little vest that my wife made me. I have the remote right here hanging from my strap, so I can just reach over and turn on my ventilation system and turn it off without having to go unplug it every time, because they don't wire those ventilation fans with a switch already in them. So that cost me, I think that was a $12 ventilation system. It came with some dryer vent, and it was only $15 for the fan. And you can see it may not pull really hard, but it gets most of the stuff out of my face and blows it into the other half of the shop out there. I don't know if you could do a much longer run with it, but hey, I like it because it keeps me from having a sore throat when I go inside the house, because I've been breathing so much of this cutting fumes. But anyway, just a little side note, makes me feel important. I can just push a little remote control button there and turn my stuff on. I gotta watch it and wear the battery out on it. Okay, back to what I was doing. Let's see if I can get in here so you can see this dial here. Okay. So I'm gonna take another 1.5 thou. I'm gonna zero it out. And whether or not it looks like it's on zero on the camera, it's on zero the way I'm looking at it. So then I'm gonna unlock my carriage, and I'm gonna come out 1,000th and just shy of a half. That way I get a little bit in there, I can sneak up on it even better. Alright, got that adjusted. Now I'm going to take this pass here, and hopefully that's my 2.205. But if it isn't, it's going to be less, so I'll still be able to take some more off. I'm trying to err on the side of leaving more meat. And you can see that's some nice fine hairs on that thing. It does a pretty good job. If it'll focus, let's see. That's some really fine chips. So I really like that Born bar. And it was relatively inexpensive from Grizzly. Gotta love Grizzly. Just my personal preference. Just like I always say, this is just a hobby for me, so I can't spend a fortune on it. Maybe one day, but not now. Okay, let's see what we got here. Do the first snap. Looking for 2.205. Oh, I like what I see on the first one. That is right on the 5 there. So that's exactly 2.205 there. See what this has to say. And this one's saying 204.5. So just make sure I didn't leave it open too much there. I still show 2.205 and 1/10,000ths. Okay, let's take another snap. Okay, that one's off. That one shows 2.203. Still trying to master the art of the snap gauge. That one says 2.204.5. 2.204. 2.203. Way off on that one. 2.204 and some change. Barely change. I'm gonna call that good. The average or the majority of my readings were 2.2048, 2.2049, 2.205, so I'm happy with that. So I've got my 2.205 bore, 625 thousandths deep, and like I showed last time, I'm using my other dial indicator set up here to measure my length of my cut. And the next step is 2.285, a quarter of an inch in. So right now we're at 2.205, 2.285. I need to take 80 thousandths. And I'm going to take that in probably 8 10,000ths passes because I like the finish it makes and I don't want to push anything on here. And I have all the time in the world and I can speed it up for you so you don't get bored. So here we go. I'm going to take 80 thousandths in 8 10,000ths passes, or maybe a couple of 20 thousandths, because I do have to go to work in the morning. So we'll get started. We'll start off with a 20. Okay, I'm within 5 thousandths, so I'm going to go ahead and check it. And I think a quarter inch is about the minimum that I can measure with one of these big snap gauges like this. Because I'm pretty sure this big one here is close to quarter inch in diameter. And any shorter than that, and the tips of them wouldn't be able to grab into the biggest part of the OD. So I should be 2.280. Or thereabouts. No, I should be within 10 thousandths. My bad. Sometimes I can feel that the snap gauge is still on there good, and sometimes it feels like it lets up too easy. Maybe I need to get a better set of snap gauges. So I am 2.25 plus 19 thousandths plus 18 thousandths. Make sure that these are all driving together here. That way I'm not just reading something wrong. 2.268 and 2.25 plus 18 and some change is 2.268. So, and 2.285 minus 2.268. I have 17 thousandths left to go. So I'm going to take 10 and then measure again. I was at 2.268. And this shows that the first snap shows 2.275 plus 7,000. So that shows I'm over. Maybe like 2.28182. Try another one. Same thing. It's showing 2.282, so I was 2 thousandths over. So I need to correct my tool bit height so that whenever I dial in, it takes exactly that off. Now I'm 2 thousandths oversized on this one. And what I'll do, since I am oversized and not happy about that, thought I was going to be able to sneak up on it. But not having your tool bit right on exactly center height makes some unpredictable results when you're measuring down to the 10 thousandths, which is unnecessary. That's what I gotta keep telling myself. It doesn't have to be that way. You watch other videos on there of stuff like this, and they're just in the ballpark. But I'm just kind of a control freak, a little bit of OCD, but it makes me do my job a little better. But I can make that up on the piece that's going to fit in here. I can leave it a little big so that it will have a good snug fit on it. Okay, and that's all the boring operations I have on this one. I need to come in the back here, just like I've done in previous videos, and make a thread relief. I think I'll spare you that, since you've seen all that before on my other videos. And then I'll come in and thread this piece, and then this tube basically here is done, because I've already threaded the male threads over here, and I'll take that out and show you. And they do fit together very well with this other female thread that I put here. I have to do a little bit of work. I think it's catching somewhere on the shoulder here, because it doesn't flush up all the way. I think my chamfer needs to be a little bit bigger on this edge to clear the little bit of tool radius that I have over here. And I probably need to come in and straighten this shoulder up. But I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff done off camera, and then I'll come back in the next couple of days and I'll show you the threaded piece and how this goes together on the other end there. And then either I'll have some more tube material in stock, or I will make the end of it out of aluminum. Still not sure, but thanks for watching.